tuned into Breaking the Mask of Depression with your host, Diva with Depression.
Hey guys, welcome to Breaking the Mask of Depression, Black, Brown, and Broken. I hope you guys are doing well. And if you missed last week's episode, I explained that we changed things up a little bit and the new name is Breaking the Mask of Depression. If we want to break the stigma and break generational trauma, then we might as well break those masks too. So let's get into today's episode. I'm coming to you live and direct from my bed because, of course, I overdid it today, but it was for a good reason. So here we are. Now, this episode I wrote a couple of days ago, but I just hope it happened today. I took a youth mental health first aid course, and in discussing, and taking the course, bullying came up. I hate bullies. I absolutely hate bullies of all shapes, sizes, ages, races, everything. I hate bullies. And so when we started discussing it in class today, I knew that this was the right episode to record tonight. So before I get into my woes, I'm going to share with you, of course, my Google fact, my Webster definition of bullying. So this actually funny. This really does come from Webster. So bullying is the abuse and mistreatment of someone vulnerable by someone stronger, more powerful, etc. Listen to that again. Abuse and mistreatment of someone vulnerable by someone stronger, more powerful, etc. So that means there is no age range. There's no expiration date. There's no class. There's no race. There's no nothing. A bully is a full-grown bully. So bullying is an ongoing and deliberate misuse of power in a relationship. So that means that, of course, there are people, we all know those, some bullies out there that love to take advantage of people that are, nicer than they are maybe, or, smaller than they are, or have less power than they are, because it strokes their ego. It makes them feel good. But, when we're growing up, of course, when we're younger and you have a bully, our parents always, I don't want to say brushed it off, but, it's like, well, if he's bullying, then, go hit him back or, get him back. But I don't think that anybody ever took into consideration, well, I'm not going to say anybody, but I don't think that we took into consideration the lasting effects that bullying can have on people. If you're verbally abused, physically abused, social media, cyberbullied, these are all things that cause physical and psychological harm. So that means that, if something happens to you at 6 years old and you're bullied intensely, that's something that can have a lasting effect on you through the rest of your life. I know that some of my experiences with bullies when I was younger have truly lasted a long time. But, we'll get into that later on. And so one thing that I learned I want to share with you guys is actually, like I said, I wrote this last week, but I also reinforced the fact today in class is that 1 in 5 American high school students report being bullied. And that's something that I learned today in my mental health first aid class. 1 in 5. And that's just high school bullies. That's not taken into consideration younger ages or older ages, because we know that bullying doesn't end at high school. How many corporate bullies do we know? How many bullies in in Washington do we know? But that's just another story. But bullying is traumatic, and like I said, it can have lasting effects, and bullying can even cause PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder, if it's traumatic enough. So we have to start. I'm not going to say start. I know that some people do pay attention to bullying. It has increased. It has gotten worse, if that's possible, because I know, myself and some of my friends have faced intense bullying throughout the years, and it was brutal, so I shouldn't take away from that. But I think that one of the things that contributes to bullying being more intense now is, of course, access to social media. So that means that people have access to you 24 hours a day through the internet. So we didn't have that back then, but that does not mean that our experiences in my age group were not intense enough to cause harm. And we know that, my first experience in bullying was in the second grade. So how old are you in the second grade? What, 8 or something like that? And I was walking home from school, and this little girl, she was in my class, but she was smaller than me, and she walked up behind me and she starts calling me a stupid bitch, or there goes that bitch. And I know I was shocked, because I was like, well, where did this come from? But number 2, do you know this language in the second grade? At least I did it. Well, I probably did, but I didn't use it outside. I may have, said it to my brothers, but I never used it outside. And here's this little person, calling me names for what? And then, she did it every day, almost. She would follow me out of class, or she would say something to me in class, and it just continued. And, I know that there were reasons why it may have happened. I was not a talker growing up. I know you can't tell, but I did not talk. I was very into my academics. And so in the second grade, it was sort of highlighted in class, much to my dismay. And so, there's, oh, she thinks that she's better than us, or she does this, or blah, blah, blah. And that's where it all started. And, but yeah, she started it. And then, some of the other kids joined in, and there you have it. There goes that's the beginning of my bullying story. So a bully doesn't necessarily have to be bigger than you. If you are trying to disconnect from someone, it doesn't matter what size they are. If they're constantly harassing you and being mean to you, then that's a bully. And the second grade was just the beginning of my experience. I was bullied every year, if you can believe it, every year in every school. I mean, after the second grade, I went to another school, and I was bullied every year in every grade through high school. I mean, through high school graduation. Okay. And they were not, this wasn't just, na 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 na. I had some vicious bullies. In the third grade, there was one boy that was, bigger than I was. And, I found out later on that he did have mental problems, but I was one of the quietest ones in the class again. And he decided that he was going to just keep going at me until it got physical. Another grade, there was a, young boy, and he kept bothering me. And, one of the things that we have to stop doing, and I think that my experience would have been different when I was younger as far as boys are concerned, is we say, oh, he just likes you. No, No, that is bullying. That's a future domestic abuser. That is abuse. And so, all of these instances where there were boys involved, that's what the consensus was. Oh, he just likes you. Oh, remember when guys, boys used to go and, try to pop your bra in high school? That's bullying and that's abuse and that's embarrassing. But no, they're just being boys, or boys will be boys. And so this one boy that kept bothering me, I never retaliated, never fought back. And one day he followed me outside the school and I just lost it, and every bit of rage that I had came out, and he felt it. And the science teacher came running out, and, she thought that I was going to really, really do bodily harm to him. But that's what happens, is that when people are picking at you, it builds up. It builds up. And, there were instances that, bullying occurred and I ignored it, or I may have shared it with my brothers. But when I got into junior high school, I had one of the worst bullies. And I had two horrible bullies in my lifetime, but junior high school was when I had one of the worst, and it was physical. Law enforcement got involved. I mean, it was horrible. My parents had to get involved. The bully's parents never got involved, and the till this day, people talk about how horrible that person was, and nothing was ever done. I don't know if they were afraid of the person, or I had never seen the person's parents up until this day. But that's something that I will never forget. And it not only affected myself, but it affected my friends too, because who wants to be friends with someone who's always involved in some mess, and although it wasn't my fault, I was still involved in it. And it's not like, my mother would come up to the school when it got to be too intense, but it's not like there was a supportive atmosphere when I got home. Let's just leave it at that. The same thing with my father. He was a police officer. So, when it got to be intense, then of course he got involved. But other than that, it's like, well, you shouldn't be fighting in school, or, fight back, or whatever. But they were never supportive when it came to me being bullying. So these were the lasting impressions that I have. And that person that bullied me in junior high school, we still have mutual friends on social media. And as soon as I see their name, I just get an instant flashback. And I know that you're not supposed to say that you hate people, but that's somebody that I'm going to have to pray on that one later. But, and this, of course, carried on. My last year in high school, weapons were involved. Someone was following me and threatening to stab me on the train, and they were serious. They brandished a weapon and they were following me. And if it wasn't for security at the school and security at the train station and friends, they would have carried it out. So we have to understand that bullying is not just taunting, nah, 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 or pulling your hair, or, hiding your books, or, stuff like that. There are episodes of bullying that are so intense that they cross over into violence, and when you say one in 5 high school students is reported being bullied, then that's one too many, and so we have to talk about some of the signs. So say you see that your child is coming home and your child is not eating properly, or their sleep pattern has changed, or they're becoming withdrawn, stuttering, they're not wanting to go to school. Like, what if your child is like one of an A student and loves school, and all of a sudden they don't want to go to school anymore? They come home and now, since they're being bullied, they're going to start bullying somebody else. And sidebar, that's what, when you start looking at bullies, sometimes that's what you see, that they were bullied by somebody else, who was a little bit more powerful than them. So they're going to go find somebody smaller than them and try to feel powerful. So that's usually like, that's a background. Mood swings, and, they don't want to go to school anymore. They don't want to do anything. And, or you may start to notice that if it is physical, that you'll see marks on them, maybe come home with a black eye, or, marks on their arms, or, the hair, missing hair. I've seen cases of bullying where hair was pulled out, so that's something to start worrying about. You see on TV about the bully is taking their lunch money. That's another thing. If you notice that they're hungry when they come home and they don't have any money, and you know that you gave it to them, then that's something to, start paying attention to. And so there are a lot of different signs, but, like we always say, we know our children. And so sometimes you have children that will come home and tell you, that they stood up to the bully, or, somebody is, doing something to them. And then there are some kids that, keep it to themselves, that they could be embarrassed, or they don't want to bother you. So, just pay attention to some of these signs of, that your children are experiencing. It's tough, when you are trying to be a decent person, and, you don't want to hurt other people's feelings, and you're trying to be nice, and you're trying to be supportive, and then someone comes along and they're just mistreating you because of who you are, as a person. And like I said, this doesn't stop at first grade. This doesn't stop at fifth grade. This goes all the way through life. Corporate America, I always talk about corporate America, but think of how many CEOs and managers and supervisors that you've had that are just bullies, because they're lacking in some way, and they don't like you, so they just go out of their way to do harm. Think about that. And it doesn't stop. And of course, as adults, we know how to take care of ourselves a little bit better, but that doesn't mean that bullies don't get away with it. And it's hard, it's hard to battle it. And one of the things that I always say is, when I was younger, when I came home from school, I could close my door and the bullying stopped for the day. And there were one or two cases where they did follow me home, but pretty much I can close my door, and that was it. If you didn't want to answer the phone, or, sometimes we didn't have a phone, so they couldn't call me. Now we're living in an age where there's cyberbullying, and I know we've seen several cases of people that are actually being charged with cyberbullying because it's a crime, and so cyberbullying is not just on the internet, on your laptop or your computer. Cyberbullying is texting, emails, posts, images, videos. Though that's cyberbullying, where we saw I think it was a cheerleader who was cyberbullied by another cheerleader. We saw a young lady who was sending texts encouraging her friend to take his life, and he did. We have bullies now who know how to manipulate the internet and send out horrible pictures of people, or, young men who take pictures of young ladies, or vice versa at this point. Because I've seen both sides of it. Sending out pornographic images. This is all bullying. Spreading rumors, gossiping, making fun of you on Facebook or Instagram. These are things that intrude on your life 24 hours a day. And I can't imagine, although I had some horrible experiences, I can't imagine horrible people infiltrating my life 24 hours a day. You go home and you do your homework, and, you're just chilling and hanging out on TikTok, and then all of a sudden your name is a hashtag, or you go on Facebook and your name pops up in accordance with a horrible rumor or a nasty image, or your parents go online and this is what they're seeing. These are horrible, horrible instances. So now that this is happening and it's causing a problem, the federal government has in fact stepped in and started taking action against bullying, because bullying has not only contributed to psychological problems and physical problems, but it's contributed to our young people taking their lives. And we've seen that, so much in the past, I want to say the past 3 years. Babies as young as 10 years old are being bullied and they're taking their lives because they feel like they have no way out. I believe 2 months ago, I read a story about a 9-year-old young baby that took her life because she was being bullied at school because she was, I want to say, special needs. That's absolutely horrible that people can be so cruel to the point where they force you to take your life. It breaks my heart. It absolutely breaks my heart. So we have to pay more attention to what's going on. And I know that I know that you guys are sick of me. I know that you are sick of me saying that we have to pay closer attention to our children. But we really do, because it's so easy to lose a hold of them because we're working, or we're, caught up in, raising kids and taking care of the house and doing whatever. It's so hard. And you have this entity that is bigger than us, taking over our children and has access to them 24 hours a day. It's so hard. My kids, are at an age now where thankfully the internet was fairly new, when they were in their teen years. I can't imagine how I would parent right now, with Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and Tinder and all of this stuff. I can't imagine me having a 10-year-old right now. It is so difficult. I give you parents of young babies right now so much credit. And I know that it's hard, but keep listening to people like me. Keep listening to psychologists. Keep going and online and researching bullying and ways to combat and ways to calm it down, because when you see something as sad as a baby taking their life because of bullying, it's an epidemic. It's a pandemic. I said that today in class. It's a pandemic within a pandemic. that all of this stuff is being heaped onto our babies. So even if it's just the smallest step, let's try to pay closer attention. Let's spread the word about these signs and the symptoms. And, if you see a bullying your child, step in, be loud about it. If you see a bully somebody else, step in, be loud about it, because that other child, their parent may not know about it, or their parent may not be able to do anything about it. So if you can help, and just know that bullying is a major problem. And so you're not being overbearing. You're not making a mountain out of a molehill, excuse me. This is something that we want to try to control as best as we can. And, I know that we're supposed to have compassion for everyone and love one another. But it's hard, because if you look at, if we're trying to be understanding, we want to try to understand why a bully would bully someone else. And I know that they could come from a household with bullies, a father that's a bully, or abusive, or, many different attributes that's causing them to have an abusive environment, and that's why they're acting out as a bully. There could be a mental reason, a mental illness involved, or an emotional illness that's involved that's causing them to bully. I know that there are reasons. There's always a reason for why someone acts the way they do. So we have to try to have compassion for both sides. But your first mind should be to protect your child. And then your second mind should be to try to understand why this person is acting the way that they are. And then maybe try to get them help also. There are people, like I said, that have bullied me in the past. And I know for a fact that one of them was suffering with a mental illness. I know another one had a horrible home life. I found out later on. And, I know that there are different causes, but you have to protect your baby first. So, do what you can to work on your child, and then maybe help someone else down the road. One of the websites that I researched bullying through was called stopbullying.gov. And the federal government, like I said, is taking bullying seriously. They, they will prosecute, they will arrest, they will step in, especially with the onset of cyberbullying becoming so huge. It's a problem. So go to stopbullying.gov and you can look up more signs of bullying. You can look up more ways to step in and protect your babies. Talk to go to the school, get involved, get the principal involved, get the administrators involved. We know as adults that these schools are so damn crowded that, these administrators and these principals, they can't keep up. And the teachers, there's a teacher shortage. It's exhausting, guys. It is absolutely exhausting. And I feel you, so, but that doesn't mean that we have to stop, getting involved. If you have an incident with your baby, you're their advocate for the rest of their life. So get in front of these teachers, get in front of these parents, get in front of the principal. Be safe though, because if you start confronting parents, it could get ugly. So try to take the necessary steps to do it the right way, instead of flying off the handle and everybody gets hurt in the long run. So I'm pausing because I just keep thinking about this little baby this story that I read about the 10-year-old. And I know when I was 10 years old, I was going through some things, but I can't say that I was of the mind that I would take my life, and it just breaks my heart. I know that I'm over the age of 50, and when I think about taking my life, I know how exasperated I am, but I also have 50 years of exasperation. But could you imagine being 9 years old and just going home and feeling like you're so lost and you're so alone that is your only option? That's not acceptable. So please, check out the Stop Bullying website. Check out the federal government website. Check out your school website. Research how they handle bullies. Look up cyberbullying. Sidebar. There is a show on the ID channel called Underage something, and this woman goes undercover to try to find sexual predators. But it just goes to show you, when you watch this show, how much access the outside world has to our babies. It's unbelievable. And mom and dad, caregivers, grandparents, let's not forget that there's adult bullies too. So, if you are being bullied at work, hit HR, go to HR, find out where, what you need to do to get it in line, because there's nothing worse than waking up every single morning and going to a job and being harassed by an adult bully. You're talking to someone who had their breakdown at work because of bullies. So it doesn't end, just because you become of age. Family bullies. Okay. Can we discuss moms and dads? Like I said, if you follow a bully home, you may find a bully answering the door, and if that parent is bullying their child, they could also be bullying their siblings. They could also be bullying their in-laws or parents. Just because they're a family member, does that mean that they have the right to abuse you? Bullying is horrible. Any way you cut it, any way it comes at you, and nobody is exempt. A bully is a bully, and that shit has to stop, because it wrecks your soul. It tears you down. It makes you feel less than, and nobody in the world deserves to make you feel less than. So, if you believe that your child is being bullied, then take the necessary steps now to sit down and talk to them and make some headway. Go online, look up cyberbullying, look up the signs of a child being bullied and the symptoms. If you believe that your child is the bully, go online, look up the signs of what a bully looks like. There's no judgment here. You could be the best parent in the world and your baby could still be bullying someone. Go online and go to the library, research, or you sit down with your baby and see why they're bullying someone else and take the steps to turn it around. If you are being bullied by an adult in your household, I'm going to have an episode on that. But in the meantime, try to get someone to talk to, or try to get out of the situation. No one has the right to bully and abuse you. Okay? We need you here. I need you here. And bullying and abuse leads to stress. It leads to depression. It leads to death in some cases. And we can't afford to lose any more members of our community. Our babies are the future. We want them to grow up to be healthy, whole, and successful. All of them, the bullies included, because I know that the bullies need love too. The bullies need help too. So let's put us into this epidemic and get our babies on the right track, feeling loved and whole and successful. Thank you for tuning in today. I so appreciate it. Thank you for putting up with me filming live from my bed. I always say filming live because I act like I'm on a newscast, but thank you for putting up with me coming live from my office. I truly appreciate all the love and support. I truly appreciate all of you listening and sharing and giving me great feedback. I'm very lucky to have such a great audience and a great group of people surrounding me. I just want us to get healthy, keep being loud about these subjects. So please share. If something strikes you, share it. If you have a subject that you'd like me to discuss, reach out to me, email me. I will definitely start researching it and getting out there. You can listen to Breaking the Mask of Depression on all platforms now. Yeah, we are on everything now. Thank you. Thank you to Illumination Media and Technology for keeping us teched out. Follow them on all the social media platforms. They are awesome. And if you have some techie needs, please contact them. I want you guys to have a great week. I also, sidebar, COVID numbers are going back up. So please be safe and stay healthy. Remember that I want you here and I want you all to keep fighting. And I get you and I got you. And I'm sending love to all of you. Take care.